welcome to the ExchangeWire kitchen.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you very much for joining me. First off, before we introduce you, I'm going to ask the all-important question. What coffee have you chosen?
I am going for black americano.
Good.
So need my coffee shot in the morning.
Yeah.
Very,
It's a strong choice. So yeah, we're in for a good rapid-fire conversation today.
What about you? What are you having?
I'm on my traditional mid-morning oat milk flat white today.
Nice.
It's my favourite kind of, after
Good choice,
a couple of espressos early on, I'll go for a flat white.
Good coffee, good.
But yeah, we're going to get into Agentic AI and the whole landscape today of it. But first, give us a little introduction to Locala and yourself and your career path.
Yeah, perfect. So Locala, we a location intelligence platform. So effectively, we help brands and agencies that have multi-local challenges gather insights through our planning agents to make more sense of the local landscape and locally to help them maximize their budgets, their investment, and their outcome nationwide. So we do that with, granular insights, and our planning agents help them set up audiences locally, activate and operate very efficiently. So something that used to take hours takes a couple of seconds now. So yeah, helping solve the problem one store at a time.
That's it. Yeah, exciting. And what brought you to Locala? How's your ad tech career gone?
So funnily enough, I didn't start in ad tech. I started in construction.
Right,
so
okay.
I was selling reinforced steel to construction sites, which was interesting, but not the industry for me.
Fair enough.
And I was contacted by a recruiter who, back in 2012, the year of mobile, reached out and said, do you want to work in mobile advertising? Did some research on Google and ended up with pictures of billboard on the back of a truck. And I was like, what am I getting myself into? So it was very much the beginning of mobile advertising. Yeah. But doing a bit more research was for me, the beginning of an industry. I know it's been around for a long time, but I started working on the supply side, managing inventory, monetizing the inventory at the time where we were doing waterfall manually. And I really loved the data that we had. And I was lucky to be able to understand what publishers were providing to the ecosystem and the set of data that they had. And in 2017, Locala, that was S4M before, reached out. And I was like, oh, it's demand side. I quite like the publisher side. I like to be close to the data. But they had that vision even 10 years ago, 15 years ago of helping that local and understanding the consumer, not just what they do and who they are, but why they're doing it. So even back then when we had limited data, it was really why. So I really enjoyed that. And I thought my understanding of the data could help advertisers and brands, and agencies. So that's how I ended up managing the account initially, and then growing the business, and now managing the business at Locala.
Amazing. Well, you've, from that perspective, you've seen it all. You've seen the changes in the industry and across the entire kind of media ecosystem. It's changed a lot recently.
It has.
The agentic world that we're now living in, it seems to change every week. There's new innovation, there's a new way of doing things. From where you are, how are you seeing kind of the attitudes towards AI, the agentic revolution? Do you think it's excitement, trepidation, fear? What do you reckon?
Yeah. So I think, people are, it's a mix of both. I think people are scared because they don't know yet the scale that we can, or Agentic AI will bring the industry to, but I think there's excitement also, the industry is changing. It reminds me almost when programmatic and header bidding started, is people didn't really know what it could do, but we knew it was going to unify the industry and taking us to that new era almost. And I think that's where we are. We had generative AI, people were just asking question, and initially was just what does that mean almost. And now people are okay, so I have agent, they can talk to one another, I can operate, I can execute better, what else can I do? And I think that trepidation is what else can we do with it? So yeah, it's exciting.
It's super exciting. And I think with any change, there is a lot of fear around it, but there's been a shift, I think, in the kind of novelty of it, and people thinking, oh, cool, I can make these pictures, I can put myself in a sports car, I can do something like that. To it's oh no, this could basically impact my workflow, my operations of my business. there's been like a mindset shift, I think.
Yeah. Even though turning your dog into like a cool outfit is wonderful, I think it's really important to like, and it will also require people to evolve and learn how to manage like the new era, how to manage agent, how to manage. It's all great to have the technology, but we also need the people to learn it. And I think that's the transition we're at, where people are still like understanding it, and we're lacking some of the talent at the moment to just manage it all. We have the expert, and then you have the commercial, and in between is getting there. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's an interesting step. And I think that has been a sea change in the past year or so from that kind of, from the novelty to working out what it does. Bearing in mind that I am not a data scientist or data savvy particularly, how could you explain that change to this like agentic model that we're heading towards?
Yeah, I think we covered it a little bit. Like, I think generative AI was very much like executing, almost like we give you the content that you ask, or we turn your dog into a funny creature. It was very much like giving you something, but not really thinking further or executing steps. And I think agentic AI now is very much helping us operate and execute faster. So like we were talking with my marketing team, and it's very much that shift of generative AI. At the beginning was we help you think, and now we help you operate and execute. And that's really the shift that we're seeing. And I was at an event talking about like SSPs, talking about their agents, and the fact that they all now communicate with one another. Yeah. And I found that fascinating, because that's the next step. Is we went from the AI create, AI start to think and start to action a logic and the pattern, to let them talk to one another to actually execute even further, so we can as human like be more like relevant in the strategy, in the understanding and analyzing what they provide us with. So it's quite interesting. Then that's really like the change, I think, for me in the industry.
Yeah, definitely. It's such an interesting evolution, I suppose. And it leaves, there's questions around where it leaves humans and where it leaves the kind of the whole media industry as a whole, what's going to be transacted between agents. But ultimately, it's always down to audience.
Yeah.
You've previously said that audience is the outcome, not just a starting point. Can you talk me through that and that thinking, please?
It's a bit controversial.
Yeah.
I think probably a lot of people will think or will disagree. But with the level of data that we have and everything that we've done at Locala, is very much, for us, the audience should be the outcome of the analysis and not the starting point. And we've done that for years. We take an audience, that's how we believe, that's who we believe we should target. And then you go into like platforms with silos, and you try to replicate that audience regardless of your local landscape, your competitor, landscape as well. So you just take one broad audience, you try to replicate it, do lookalikes. And that may have worked before, but with the billions of data set that we have, I do think you need to really understand the data, understand your local landscape. Somebody in Whitechapel behave completely differently to somebody in Manchester, and you need to have that understanding and use the data. So for us, is start with what you want to achieve, what's your company goal and your campaign goal. Use the agent, use the data to tell you about the local landscape, the differences, and then address your audience that is there locally and will react to your brand. So it's almost like changes the sequence from we have an audience to what is your data telling you and why your consumers is behaving differently, and then connect with them then. So that's, the change in behavior and perception. But
that's it. It's turning it on its head. It's the shift in perception. And also, I suppose, we're all used to dashboards and analytics and how that works. How is Agentic AI reshaping that as well?
I think it ties in with the audiences. Is if you leverage all of the data, like there's so much at the moment that human can't always understand it all. So I think Agentic AI will help us move from, okay, I'm reading the data and I'm just trying to find one common thread, to Agentic AI analyzing the whole set of data and recommending at that local level, recommending that the relevant strategy, the relevant. So it's helping us understand the data a bit better, and just going from, oh, I'm reading a number on a dashboard, to what else do I do with that data? And hopefully Agentic AI will start making like decisions, recommending audiences. And that's really where what we see is, when we use our planning agent and we look at a local level, it's not just, oh, that your audience is behaving that way. Is this is the most relevant audience that you should activate in that specific location. This is what it says. And on the back of a campaign is, this is what we learn at a local level. Let's make it nationwide and help you with your business outcome. So I think we'll think better, and we'll operate better campaign, and hopefully drive better business outcome for the industry.
Yeah, and it seems to be, that seems to be heading in a more like proactive direction, I suppose, rather than the reactivity of analytics.
Yeah, exactly. And I think people at the end of the day remains in control also. So I think we get that, if we do it well, we get that chance to also question the result the AI are giving us, and just challenge it. And so it can be interesting, I think.
Definitely, yeah. It sounds, I mean, what you do anyway, like the whole kind of, targeting things so locally and being very involved in the geospace seems very complex. Has AI helped kind of develop that side of things?
It did. I think we always laugh about it. Like when you start talking about local with any brands or agencies, either they're like, we don't handle it because it's too complex, or they all sigh and just be, yes, it takes us quite a long time. So it's always interesting to see. And people think if you do local, you can't do nationwide. And actually, AI help us really like show that if you do local, and if you take that, and if you have that understanding of the local characteristic, the market, the territory, the store, whatever area you want to target, it does help enhance nationwide. So we do find agent makes it faster. So where you used to wonder what audience you should have per region, now the AI does it for us in a couple of seconds. It's all about having the right prompt, having the right question.
That's it.
In order to have the right audiences. But we do like audience generation, media plan, and activation in like 5 minutes now. So it's pretty insane. And we have one of our clients, they have almost like 2,000 stores, and they want one report, one activation per week per store. And with AI, it's all automated. We send the report, we have the analysis. Our account managers are still in control. They still question and all of it, but the execution is ridiculously fast. So it makes it easier for everyone involved, really.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's this that in itself is a project. That many stores. It's so interesting how it can really speed things up. I'm going to dive a little bit more into what you finished with there, which is where does it leave humans? What are we going to do in this in the agentic revolution? How are people still relevant here?
Yeah, I think that's the main fear for everybody. Is ultimately, I think the human will have to evolve to an extent. Like we need to be more technical. We need to understand the data. We need to understand what agents are telling us to know if we need to question it, if we need to challenge it. So I think there's that part where we need to evolve. But we did, to an extent. Sales used to be just like doing events and drinking with clients, when now they need to be more technical. So we had that shift to an extent of evolving. And I think we also will see a change in like the roles. So when we currently have account executive that do the report, understand like or analyze the data, I believe those like roles will disappear, but they will be replaced by prompt managers, for example, managing the agent. So it will just create a new industry with new roles. But we need to make sure that people like get educated to manage the changes in the industry and get the knowledge that is necessary to manage an agent, to also know how that works in the first place. But ultimately, it still remains a machine, and it still remains like the agent will be as good as your prompt will be and how your data will be. So we need people to understand that so they remain in control and they can challenge the AI. So I think that's really where we're at, and just having all that transparency. If we nail controlling the AI industry to an extent, if we're carrying on with that transparency, building that glass box, building that, questioning constantly so we can give the visibility to advertiser, which ultimately is their objective to just reach the right audience, knowing what they do. I think humans still have a big part to play.
That's encouraging.
Yes. I think the industry is always going to look at how scary it is. People were scared when when internet started. People were, we're gonna just have no stores, no shops, nothing, and actually created an entire new industry. And then we did the same with automation, with programmatic. I remember we had 3 account managers setting up waterfalls manually and doing that. Everybody was scared, but now we have architects, we have traders, and they do so much more. So I think it just get us to evolve. It's exciting.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I've seen some analogies recently. People saying, before alarm clocks, there used to be a person who was employed to knock on windows to make sure you got up for your shift. People were scared when cars were invented. People, the internet's a really good case in point. People felt the same. So, it's exciting, frightening. It's definitely stirring a lot of emotion, but also it is a super tool for efficiency.
And I'm so glad that we get to be at that intersection, and we get to see that change and also help it shape. So when we train our account managers, is making sure they have the tool, but they also understand it's not just being faster, it's thinking differently. So we get that new generation that you see them go in a different way, and it's rewarding.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's that's encouraging and good to kind of see a practical, understandable shift in what AI is actually bringing to the media industry.
Exactly.
Before I let you go, we're going to finish with a little bit of future gazing.
Okay.
So we're in the thick of the agentic AI revolution. How do you think the world and your business is going to look in 2 years' time?
I think it's everybody's guess, really. We don't know. We saw such at the beginning of agentic AI. I don't think anyone has that 2-5 years vision yet. But our business will keep evolving, because as we train our agent, as we train our account managers to be more efficient in their prompt, will be faster, will be more accurate, will be better. And I think will help our advertisers and agencies make smarter decisions, be more efficient, and operate and drive better outcomes. So I think our business will only evolve with the speed and the efficiency. I think everybody moves to agentic AI without really thinking it through. And for us you need to have the right set of data, because your agent, you can have the best agent, the best prompt. If you don't have the right data, and if you don't have the accuracy, the quality, then your analysis is not going to be good enough. Therefore, your activation will not be good enough, and you're not going to drive business outcomes. So the successful businesses, I think, will need really good technical AI and agents, really good people with really good skills in how to manage an agent, but also a really good quality set of data in order to fuel the entire ecosystem. And I think that's where we'll see the difference in a couple of years. Is everybody moves to AI, but what is behind it? And for us, we're going down the road of transparency, and I think everybody should. So advertisers ultimately know what they're buying and what we're providing them with. So I think it's, where we're going to head. We're going to have a phase of questioning before we move into, okay, we know what we have now, let's scale it.
Yeah. And that, I think, no question, that quality data is the lifeblood of all the AI. It's what it's run on, it's what it's good for. But the quality of your data sets is going to matter so much.
It is. And one of the, we do outside of AI, we do an analysis every year on consumer behavior with trends. And one of the trends was really interesting, because consumers really want that one-to-one connection with the brand, and they were saying like they will actually change a brand, like stop buying if they don't believe in the value that the company is portraying. And I'm like, if you want to answer to that need for your consumers, the data needs to be so precise. And I always go back to that being, if you want to have that one-to-one communication with your consumers, which they are asking for, then the data needs to be spot on. So we'll see how it goes in the next 3 years, but it's going to be interesting, I think.
Definitely, yeah. We certainly live in interesting times,
Yeah.
and yeah, you've seen it a lot of shifts in your career already, and I wish you the very best for the next one. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank
It's
you
great
for
to
having
chat.
me. Definitely great to chat. Thank you.
Anytime, Caroline. Thank you so much.
Yeah.